Greetings. So I just want to do one final video about my breastfeed. Well, final video for now. We'll see how it goes. Um, about my breastfeeding journey. If you watched my previous videos, I was attempting to wean my toddler. When I started, it was just before she was 2.5, and that was about 4 or 5 months ago. So I was doing real-time-ish videos on how that was going. And then after some time, I just decided to stop the weaning process. So I'm a solo parent. I don't have day-to-day help or nighttime help. I have her grandma on her dad's side where she goes once a week and sleeps over usually. So I have just started getting a bit more time to myself. So I do have support in that sense, but nobody close by or here like on a day-to-day basis. So, I was watching YouTube videos to kind of see how, people approached it and, find certain things to look out for and just to, I guess, know a little bit more about what I'm doing. But pretty much all of the videos that I saw were from married women or people with a partner, or at least just with somebody else there through the night or who could be there through the night to help with the process, which I don't have. So my original plan was to just gradually, I was doing it just slowly and intuitively as possible. And what I had in my head was that I would just cut down, and we'd already started cutting down on the daytime feeds a lot. So I wasn't offering it to her, but I was still feeding on demand. So when she would ask for it, I would pretty much always give it to her unless I couldn't for whatever reason. And then when I started to become more active with it, which was probably around April time, I would start saying no to her when she was feeding through the day, when she was asking to feed through the day. Also because, she wasn't really eating much food, like proper food at this point. So I just wanted to kind of build that up a little bit more. Like, although I know breast milk is, one of the best things they could have once they get to a certain age and activity level, I did feel like she needed more, but was less inclined to have it when she could just have boob. So we cut down on the daytime feeds and we were just doing feeding to sleep. Well, no, backtrack. When I first decided to become more active with it, I was watching these videos and the women were saying, it's going to be a few days up to maybe like a week where, you're probably not going to get much sleep. Or the person who's helping is not going to get much sleep. But most of them was like, after 3 days, they were fine. And, they're sleeping through the night and everything was great, all sunshine and roses. I was like, okay, I can, prepare myself to be for 3 days to a week-ish to be written off while I go through this journey. And so I was just going to go like all out, from going, I started saying no to feeding through the day. And then I started so I didn't want to feed her to sleep basically. So I think that lasted maybe 2 nights, 2 days, because I tried on the first day, I tried putting her down for a nap and I was trying to get her to sleep for maybe like 2 hours and then it was too late for her to have a nap. So we just got up, had dinner. And that same night I tried putting her to bed and she was just screaming. And maybe I tried like one more night and I was like, this does not feel good for anybody. And then I just was like, okay, let's just take it step by step. So we'll have no feeds through the day. And our mantra was booby at bedtime and booby when the sun rises. So no feeding through the night. oh yeah, so for a while I was still feeding through the night. So no more feeding through the night. And we have Booby at bedtime and Booby when the sun comes up. So that's how it's been for the past, I don't even know when I last made the video, probably like 2 months now. And that's been fine. And I was like, okay, I'm content with this. And I decided to keep it like that because I realized that the really intense like triggers that I was experiencing was down to unaddressed PTSD. So I already knew that I experienced CPTSD, which, I've had EMDR therapy and ongoing therapy to just kind of work with and integrate. But I have been in this situation for a few months that I didn't realize, how toxic it was and how draining it was. And then once I came out of it, and I felt like I had all this like emotional space, I realized that the triggers that I was feeling was down to this person that was around and certain things that happened that I didn't realize were really traumatic. And just the whole situation in general was, I realized was a representation of, all of my wounds that I still need to work on. So it was a really difficult realization to come to, and it brought up a lot of shame for putting us both in that situation. Even though both of us, we were safe, just not emotionally. So once I realized that, and then I made the connection between because I was so surprised when I felt this sudden readiness and urgency to stop breastfeeding, because I always said that I wouldn't even think about stopping breastfeeding until she was at least 3. But it's always just going to be, for as long as it's comfortable for both of us. And if it started feeling uncomfortable for me really suddenly, and I just put it down to just being ready to have my body back, which, is valid and seemed, valid at the time. It's a lot, breastfeeding, when you have to do everything else and live life as well. But I was like, okay, well, that's just where we're at, and, let's go with it. But yeah, then I came out of this situation, it, like a flashback just came really randomly. I started going to acupuncture again. And if you ever had acupuncture, you'll know, you can't hide from your shit. So yeah, I just, after my first session back, I'd not been probably in about 2 years at this point.